how the tone is being set.
Delegates from 18 countries, mostly from the African Petroleum Producers Association, more than 40 financial institutions, and 400 participants from across Africa are here in Lagos to discuss strategies towards sustainable funding of Africa oil and gas projects. While presenting his keynote address at the event, Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Temipre Silva, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry, Dr. Nazir Gwazo, challenged African countries that are enriched with fossil fuel to look less at the West for aid and rather look inward for alternative funding.
The local content program for Africa can only be impactful in our various economies if there is a pipeline of projects that will sustain the utilization of capacities and capabilities developed or that are being developed in the industry.
The quest for energy transition, as it is being advocated in some European countries and other parts of the world, is now taking center stage. And as this trend progresses, the hydrocarbon resources in Africa are becoming endangered resources.
For the Secretary General of the African Petroleum Producers Organization, Umar Farouk Ibrahim, the realities of global energy transition should serve as a trigger for oil-producing African countries to consolidate more on collaborations with other countries on the continent, emphasizing that the economic salvation of Africa lies in its own hands. The APPO scribe says countries like the United States and other first world countries pushing for net zero transition by 2050 do not have the moral right to dictate to Africans on how to use their oil and gas deposits.
But because it's a matter of national security for the powers that be. In other words, I can guarantee you that today in America and Europe, there are many investors that would want to invest in the oil and gas industry because they know that for the next 15 to 20 years, it's going to give them a lot of money. But they can't because their governments will not allow them to do that. That being so, African governments have got to re-strategize and think out of the box.
To have the desired impact, it is important that ultimately the funding platform be developed, and that platform developed must have strong technical capacity.
Today, we talk about money, we talk about alternative funding strategies, finding money internally, but bigger than that is what the NCUMD is doing, which is building capacity locally.
The panel sessions further looked at specifics in terms of opportunities and strategies to be adopted in ensuring that the local content industry is not only enhanced for maximum output, but also how to position the African continent for a competitive future.
In starting this move into Africa, we need to pick some quick wins, establish that it can be done, do it, and show it. The moment you start showing those things, the interest will build.
Yet another session made efforts to dig up reasons for the funding gaps in infrastructure research and innovation, human capital development, supply chain development, and green energy, among others. The experts analyzed strategies for the growth of gross domestic products across the African landscape and the need for Africans to shape their own narratives.
What matters most for us is viability of the transaction, and then we sit down with the client, to look at the best option in terms of securing the transaction.
Facilitated by Heritage Times Media, the African Local Content Investment Forum is supported by Century Group, UTM Offshore Limited, Frigate, Platform Petroleum, and Coleman Wires and Cables. Other sponsors include Almena Resources, Stanbic IBTC Holdings PLC, Musilo Global Services, Dorman Long Engineering Limited, Nexim Bank, and Waltersmith Petroman Oil Limited. Oba Adeoye, Arise News, Lagos.